wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the broken cooling unit. The metal was old, older than most of the crew on the Stellar Harmony. He had fixed this same unit 3 times in the past month. No one else wanted to do the work. They said it was beneath them. They said it was perfect for the human. He heard laughter from the corridor outside the engine room, knew that sound. It was the crew heading to the morning briefing. He checked his watch and sighed. Time to face them again. The briefing room was crowded when entered. Dozens of aliens filled the seats. There were the tall reptilian beings with scales that shimmered under the lights. They chittered to each other, their insect-like bodies clicking and buzzing. They sat near the back, their blue skin glistening with moisture from the humidity they required. Found his usual spot in the corner. No one sat near him. They never did. Captain Al entered the room. The commander was nearly 7 feet tall, his red scales polished to perfection. His yellow eyes scanned the room and paused on for just a moment. There was something in that look, not quite disgust, more like disappointment that was still there. "We have received a distress call," Al announced. His voice was deep and rumbling. "A mining colony on 9 reports an attack. The pirates have struck again." Murmurs filled the room. They were known throughout this sector, brutal, organized, dangerous. "How many ships?" asked the chief engineer. The mandibles clicked together nervously. "Unknown. The colony's communications are failing. We are the closest coalition vessel. We will respond." Listened quietly. His fingers drummed against his knee, an old habit from his previous life. He forced himself to stop. "This will be a simple rescue operation," Al continued. "We will deploy a strike team to the surface, secure the colonists, eliminate the pirates, standard procedure." Captain spoke up again. "Should we bring the human?" The way he said human made it sound like a curse word. Laughter rippled through the room. Al's eyes found again. "No, we'll remain aboard. We cannot risk having our maintenance engineer injured. Who would fix our equipment?" More laughter, louder this time. Said nothing. His face remained neutral. He had learned this skill long ago. Show nothing, feel nothing, just survive the moment. "Humans are too fragile for real combat anyway," added a soldier named. "Their bones break, their skin tears. They die from things that would not even slow us down." "I heard they only live 80 years, said a 80. "I'm already 200 years old." "Their planet is a death world, yet they are so weak," chittered. "It makes no sense. How did they even survive to develop space travel?" The laughter continued, kept his eyes forward. He thought about Nung, his younger sister. She would have hated this. She would have stood up and shouted at them all. But Nung was gone, lost in the fires of the frontier wars back when Earth was tearing itself apart. "Enough," Al said, though could see the amusement in the captain's eyes. "Prepare for deployment. We leave in 1 hour." The crew filed out, still laughing and joking, waited until they were gone before he stood. He walked back to the engine room alone. 1 hour later, watched from the observation deck as the strike team's shuttles departed. 12 soldiers, all experienced, all confident. They would be fine, he told himself. This was not his fight, not anymore. He returned to his work. The cooling unit was stubborn, but hands were skilled. He had fixed worse with less. During the frontier wars, he had repaired a power generator while under enemy fire, using nothing but spare wire and determination. But that was the old Sergeant of the Reaper Corps. That man was dead. This was just an engineer, just a maintenance worker, just someone trying to forget. Hours passed, monitored the communications channel while he worked. The strike team had landed on 9. The planet was hostile, volcanic activity, toxic atmosphere. The colonists had chosen a difficult place to mine, but the rare minerals were worth the risk. "Strike team to Stellar Harmony," Al's voice crackled over the comm. "We have reached the colony. It is worse than expected. Multiple structures destroyed, signs of heavy fighting." "Understood, Captain," replied the communications officer. "Proceed with caution." paused his work. Something felt wrong. He could not explain it, just a feeling in his gut. The same feeling he used to get before ambushes. Minutes later, the feeling proved correct. Stellar harmony, we are under attack. Repeat, we are under. The transmission cut to static. Dropped his tools and ran to the communication station. What happened? Jamming, the officer said, his amphibian face twisted with worry. Strong jamming, military grade. I cannot break through. Can you get a visual? Trying now. The screen flickered. Images appeared. The colony was in chaos, explosions, weapon fire, and so many of them, far more than intelligence had suggested. We need to send help, said. We have no more combat-ready personnel aboard, the officer replied. Captain Al took everyone. Stared at the screen. He saw soldiers taking cover, saw and crew members pinned down, saw the closing in. He thought of Nai, her last words. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. He had made a promise. When he joined the coalition, when he left Earth, when he became just an engineer, he promised himself he was done with fighting, done with killing, done with being what the frontier wars had made him. But promises meant nothing if good people died, because he was too afraid to break them. Turned and walked toward his quarters. The communications officer called after him but did not respond. He had already made his decision. In his small room, knelt before his personal locker. It was sealed with a biometric lock. His hand pressed against the scanner. The lock clicked open. Inside, neatly packed, was his past. Combat armor, scratched and worn. A helmet with a cracked visor. Medals he had never displayed. And a pulse rifle with 47 tally marks carved into the stock. Picked up the rifle. It felt heavy, familiar, like greeting an old friend he had tried to forget. On the armor's shoulder was an insignia, a skull with wings, below it words in English, Reaper Corps, we are the storm. Began putting on the armor. Each piece felt like going backwards. Each strap pulled tight felt like betraying his promise. But his crew was dying, and he was the only one who could help. The armor sealed with a hiss, picked up the helmet and stared at his reflection in its dark surface. For 1 year he had been just the maintenance engineer, the quiet human, the one they laughed at. That man was about to disappear. Walked to the shuttle bay. An automated shuttle waited there for cargo runs. He climbed inside and began the launch sequence. What are you doing? The communications officer's voice came through his helmet. Maintenance run, replied. The captain's equipment might need repairs. You are not authorized. Close the channel. The shuttle launched into space, turning toward the burning world below. As the shuttle entered Nine's atmosphere, whispered to himself, just one more time. But deep down, he knew the truth. A Reaper never truly stopped being a Reaper. They just pretended until the storm was needed again. The shuttle shook as it dropped through the toxic clouds of Nine, gripped the controls with steady hands. He had done atmospheric entries 100 times before, some under enemy fire, some with engines failing. This was easy compared to those days. The planet's surface appeared below, red and black. Volcanic rock stretched for miles. Rivers of lava glowed in the distance. The mining colony sat in a crater, protected by energy shields that were now flickering and dying. Guided the shuttle to land 3 kilometers from the colony, far enough to avoid detection, close enough to reach on foot. The shuttle touched down behind a ridge of volcanic rock. He checked his weapons. The pulse rifle had a full charge. His sidearm was loaded. 3 grenades hung from his belt. A combat knife was strapped to his thigh. It was not much, but Reapers were trained to do more with less. Stepped out of the shuttle. The planet's air was poison, but his helmet's filters handled it easily. The temperature outside was 45 degrees Celsius. Hot but not deadly. He had fought in worse. He started moving toward the colony. His armor was designed for stealth. Black and gray, no reflective surfaces, Every step was quiet despite the rocky ground. As walked, memories came back, memories he had tried to bury. The frontier wars had been brutal, humanity fighting itself, cities burning, civilians caught in the crossfire. The coalition had thought humans were peaceful when they applied for membership. They did not know the truth. Humans had spent 10 years perfecting the art of killing each other before looking to the stars. The Reaper Corps had been Earth's answer to asymmetric warfare. Small teams, highly trained, able to operate independently behind enemy lines, had been one of the best. 63 combat drops. He had survived them all. Many of his friends had not. Push the memories away. Focus on now. Focus on the mission. He reached the ridge overlooking the colony, dropped to his stomach and crawled to the edge. Below, he could see the situation clearly. The colony was in ruins, buildings collapsed, fires burned despite the toxic atmosphere. They were everywhere, counted at least 50 pirates, maybe more inside the buildings. His crew was pinned down in the central structure. He could see soldiers behind makeshift barriers. They were surrounded. They were taking their time, playing with their prey. Studied the enemy positions. They were confident, too confident. They had posted guards, but the guards were relaxed. They were not expecting a counterattack. He smiled without humor. Confidence was the first step to defeat. Moved down the ridge, circling to the colony's eastern side. There was a mining tunnel entrance there. According to the colony maps he had studied on the shuttle, it connected to the main processing center. He reached the tunnel and slipped inside. Darkness swallowed him, but his helmet's night vision activated automatically. The world turned green. The tunnel was empty. The miners had fled or were dead, moved quickly but quietly. Every few meters he stopped to listen. Nothing. Just the sound of distant weapons fire echoing through the colony. Reached the processing center. Through a broken window he could see 3 pirates. They were laughing, celebrating their easy victory. One of them was drinking something from a bottle. Another was trying on a dead miner's helmet. Felt anger rise in his chest. These were not soldiers. They were murderers, thieves. They killed for pleasure and profit. He pushed the anger down. Anger made mistakes. Reapers did not make mistakes. Aimed his rifle through the window. 3 targets, 3 shots. He controlled his breathing. In, out, in, out. He fired. The first pirate dropped. The second turned, confused. The third shot hit him in the chest. The third pirate reached for his weapon. Too slow. His final shot put him down. 3 seconds, 3 bodies, silence. Entered the building and moved to the bodies. He took their ammunition and grenades. Waste nothing. Use everything. Old lessons from old teachers. He heard voices approaching. More pirates, moved into the shadows and waited. 4 entered the room. They saw their dead companions and started shouting. Panic, good, panic made people stupid. Threw a grenade into the center of the group. He turned away as it exploded. When he looked back, the 4 pirates were down. Not all dead, but out of the fight. Alarms started blaring. The element of surprise was gone, but had expected that. Now came the hard part. He moved deeper into the colony. Pirates appeared around every corner now. They were searching for him, hunting him. But had hunted and been hunted for 10 years. He knew every trick, every tactic. He led them into narrow corridors where their numbers meant nothing. He used the colony's damaged systems against them. A ruptured steam pipe here, a collapsed ceiling there. Each pirate that fell made the others more afraid. Found a control room and accessed the colony's security system. Half of it was destroyed, but enough remained. He activated every mining drone in the facility. Dozens of automated machines powered up and started moving randomly through the colony. Chaos. Confusion. The pirates did not know what was a threat and what was just a machine. They wasted ammunition shooting at drones. They separated from their groups chasing false targets. And moved through it all like a ghost. He reached a storage area where colonists were being held prisoner. 5 miners, 2 women, 3 men, all terrified. "Stay quiet," whispered through his helmet speaker. "I am here to help." One of the miners stared at him. "You are human, just one human." "Just one," confirmed. He handed the man a weapon taken from a dead pirate. "Can you shoot?" "Yes." "Then help me get you out of here." Led the group through maintenance corridors. They avoided the main fighting. When pirates appeared, eliminated them quickly and quietly. The miners watched in silence. They had never seen someone move and fight like this. They reached a secure storage bunker, sealed the miners inside. "Stay here, lock the door, I will come back for you." "What are you going to do?" one of the women asked. "My job," said simply. He returned to the fight. Now he moved faster, more aggressive. The time for stealth was ending. Intercepted a communication channel. They were panicking. "How many are attacking us?" one voice demanded. "We do not know, maybe 10, maybe 20. Find them all." Allowed himself a small smile. Let them think there were many. Let them imagine an entire force hunting them. Fear was a weapon sharper than any blade. He worked his way toward the central structure where his crew was trapped. Along the way, he sabotaged the pirates' equipment, disabled their vehicles, planted traps in their retreat paths. By the time reached the central structure's perimeter, they had lost 20 soldiers, and they still had no idea how many enemies they faced. Found a position overlooking the main entrance. His crew was still inside, still fighting, still alive. Good. He checked his rifle's charge. 60% remaining, enough for what came next. Activated his helmet's external speaker. He wanted them to hear this. "Attention forces," his voice boomed across the colony. "You are surrounded. Surrender now and you will be taken prisoner. Resist and you will be eliminated. You have 30 seconds to decide." Silence, then laughter. The thought he was joking. 30 seconds, repeated. He started counting down in his head. 29, 28, 27. The pirates did not surrender. They never did. When the count reached 0, opened fire. The storm had arrived. Inside the central structure, Captain Al pressed his back against a wall. Energy blasts struck the barrier in front of him. They were closing in. His strike team was down to 8 soldiers, 4 wounded, ammunition running low. "We cannot hold much longer," chittered beside him. The engineer's exoskeleton was cracked from a near miss. "We will hold as long as we must," Al growled. But even he knew it was hopeless. They were going to die on this forsaken planet. Then the shooting outside changed. It became chaotic, confused. They were shouting in their harsh language. "What is happening?" asked Sun, a young soldier. Her blue skin was pale with fear. Al risked a look through a crack in the wall. He saw pirates running, not advancing, running away from something. "Someone is attacking them," he said, disbelief in his voice. "Reinforcements?" asked hopefully. "Impossible. We are too far from other coalition ships." The sounds of battle grew louder, closer, explosions, weapon fire, screaming. Then they heard it, a voice over external speakers. "Attention forces, you are surrounded. Surrender now and you will be taken prisoner." Al recognized that voice. No, it could not be. "That is," Sun whispered. The human's mandibles clicked rapidly. "That is impossible, he is on the ship." But it was him, Al was certain, that calm voice, that same tone the human always used when explaining repairs. The outside laughed at the demand to surrender. Al almost felt sorry for them. Almost. 30 seconds later, hell began. From his position, Al watched as a single figure moved through the positions. The figure was small compared to the pirates, human-sized, but it moved like nothing Al had ever seen. Fast, precise, deadly. The figure appeared from behind cover, fired several shots, then vanished before the pirates could return fire. Soldiers fell. Others scrambled for cover. Some tried to run. By the ancestors' breathed. He is alone, one human fighting all of them alone. The battle lasted 15 minutes. To Al, it felt like hours. He watched as systematically destroyed the pirate force. There was no wasted movement, no hesitation. Every action had a purpose. Use the environment like a weapon. He collapsed a damaged structure onto 3 pirates. He redirected a lava flow to cut off a retreat path. He hacked into mining equipment and turned it against the enemy. But it was the close combat that shocked Al most. When pirates got too close, fought them hand to hand. A human, fighting aliens who were larger and stronger, and winning. Al saw dodge a massive warrior's swing, strike with his knife, and move on before the body hit the ground. Saw him use a pirate's own weapon against another. Saw him fight with a brutality that seemed impossible from the quiet engineer they all knew. "Captain," Sun said quietly, "what is he?" Al had no answer. The forces broke. Those who could still move ran. Let them go. He was not chasing glory. He was completing a mission. Silence fell over the colony. Al heard his own breathing, heard nervous clicking, heard Sun whisper a prayer in her native language. Then appeared at the entrance. His armor was scorched and dented. His helmet was cracked, but he was walking, still moving, still alive. "Captain Al," said. His voice was tired. "Are you and your team mobile?" Al stared. What could he say? Yes. "Good, we need to move. More pirates will come when these do not report in. I have colonists in a secure bunker. We need to evacuate everyone." Stepped forward. "How did you? What are you?" Was quiet for a moment. "Right now, you're way off this planet. Questions can wait." He turned and started walking. Al's team followed in stunned silence. They moved through the colony. Everywhere were signs of work. Dead pirates, destroyed equipment, traps waiting to be triggered. It looked like a full military unit had attacked, not one person. "Here," said, stopping at the storage bunker. He opened the door. The 5 colonists emerged, blinking in the dim light. "Thank the stars," one of them said when he saw Al's team. "We thought we were going to die." "This human saved us," another colonist said, pointing at. "He fought them all. We watched on the security cameras. It was incredible." Sun moved closer too. "You are wounded," she said, noticing blood seeping through his armor. "It is minor," replied. "I have had worse." "Let me see," Sun insisted. She was the team's medic. Removed his helmet. His face was covered in sweat and dust. A cut above his eye bled slowly, but his eyes were what caught Al's attention. They were cold, empty. These were not the eyes of an engineer. These were the eyes of someone who had seen too much death. "Sun examines wounds. You need proper medical attention." "Later, we need to move now." Al found his voice. "You disobeyed my direct order. You were told to remain on the ship." Met his gaze. "Yes, Captain, I disobeyed. Court-martial me later. Right now we have civilians to protect." It was the correct response. Al nodded. "Lead the way." The group moved towards shuttle. The 3-kilometer walk was tense. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Every sound could mean danger. But had set his traps well. The path was clear. The who remained were too disorganized to mount an attack. They reached the shuttle. It was small, designed for cargo, not passengers, looked at the group and made quick calculations. "It will be tight, but everyone will fit," he said. "Wounded first." They loaded the shuttle. Al was last to enter. He turned to, "You are not coming." "Someone needs to pilot," said. "Besides, the colony's security system needs to be permanently disabled. Cannot let the access it. I will take another shuttle back." "There is no other shuttle," said. "Then I will find another way. Get these people to safety, Captain. That is what matters." Sun grabbed his arm. "You cannot stay here alone. What if more pirates come?" His expression softened slightly. "Then I will handle them. I have handled worse." "That is not," Sun started. "It is an order," Al interrupted. He understood what was doing. The shuttle could not carry everyone safely. Someone had to stay behind, and had already proven he could survive alone. "But I expect you back on my ship." "Understood." "Understood, Captain." Al sealed the shuttle door. Through the window he watched turn and walk back toward the colony, alone, again. The shuttle lifted off. As it climbed through the atmosphere, moved beside Al. "Captain, what he did today, fighting an entire pirate force alone, that should be impossible. Humans are supposed to be weak." Al watched the planet shrink below them. "We were wrong, very wrong." "But how did he learn to fight like that?" "I do not know, but I intend to find out." In the back of the shuttle, the rescued colonists were talking quietly. Al heard fragments of their conversation. "Did you see him move? Took down 30 pirates, maybe more. What kind of training makes someone fight like that? Whatever it is, I am glad he was on our side." Al thought about the human engineer, the one they had laughed at, the one they called weak, the one who had just saved all their lives. He thought about how it said, "I have handled worse," with such casual certainty. What had this human seen? What had he survived? And most importantly, what else did humans hide behind their quiet smiles and peaceful words? The stellar harmony appeared ahead, safety, but Al could not shake the image of walking back into danger, alone, calm, ready. Humans, he realized, were far more dangerous than the Coalition had ever suspected. And they had laughed at them. Watched the shuttle disappear into the sky. Good, they were safe. Now he could finish this properly. He turned back to the colony. Smoke rose from damaged buildings. Small fires still burned. The place was a graveyard, had created graveyards before. Too many. His helmet's communication system crackled. "Human." The voice was deep and filled with rage. "I know you can hear me." Activated his transmitter. "I hear you. I am commander, leader of this raid. You have killed my warriors, destroyed my operation. For this you will suffer." "Your warriors are dead because they threatened innocent people," replied calmly. "Leave now and this ends. Stay and join them." Laughed. Brave words from one small human. "I have 20 warriors remaining. What do you have? You sent your allies away. You are alone." "I have been alone before." "Then come, human, face me. We are in the colony's central command center. Come and die with honor." The transmission ended. Checked his weapons. His rifle was at 30% charge, not ideal but workable. He had 2 grenades left, his knife, and his experience. He started toward the command center. Was not stupid, he would have traps, ambushes, but so did. Move through the colony using the maintenance tunnels. He had memorized the layout during the first attack. Now that knowledge paid off. He appeared where they did not expect, struck fast, disappeared before they could respond. 5 pirates guarding the northern entrance. Eliminated them using a combination of surprise and superior positioning. They never saw him coming. 3 more inside the first corridor. Used a smoke grenade and his night vision. The pirates fired blindly into the smoke, did not miss. The remaining pirates fell back to the command center. Exactly what wanted. Gather them in one place. End this quickly. He reached the command center's main door. It was sealed, reinforced, built to withstand mining accidents. Placed a small explosive charge at the door's locking mechanism. He stepped back and triggered it. The explosion was small but precise. The door's lock shattered. Kicked the door open and rolled inside. Energy blasts filled the air where he had been standing. He came up behind a console and returned fire. 1 pirate fell. "Spread out," his voice commanded. "Do not let the human find cover." The moved with discipline. These were not random thugs. These were trained soldiers, had kept his best warriors for last. Good was tired of fighting amateurs. The battle became a deadly dance, moved from cover to cover. The pirates tried to flank him, tried to pin him down, but had fought in worse situations. in cities where every building held enemies, in tunnels where the darkness was absolute, in conditions that would break most soldiers. He shot with precision. Each blast from his rifle found a target, that fell one by one. But they were learning. Adapting was a good commander. He pulled his warriors back, changed tactics, made them harder targets. His rifle finally ran out of charge. He dropped it and drew his sidearm. Lighter, faster, less power but better for close quarters. "You are good, human," called out from somewhere in the command center. "Better than I expected, but you are alone. Outnumbered, you cannot win." Did not respond. Talking wasted energy. He moved silently through the room. His armor's sound dampeners worked perfectly. He approached a pirate from behind. The knife was quick, silent. The pirate fell without alerting his companions. "How many are you now?" asked. 15, 10. "Enough to kill you." But there was doubt in the commander's voice now. Fear. His warriors were dying and he did not know how to stop it. Continued his work. Each pirate eliminated made the others more nervous, more prone to mistakes. Fear was contagious. Finally only remained. The commander stood in the center of the command center. He was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating. In his hands was a heavy plasma cannon. "Show yourself, human," roared. "Fight me face to face, or are you too afraid?" Stepped out from cover. He holstered his sidearm. This would be personal. Stared at him. You did all this, one human, impossible." "You keep saying that word," said quietly. "I do not think you understand what humans are capable of. You are prey species, weak, fragile. Then why are all your warriors dead?" Roared and charged. The plasma cannon fired, rolled aside. The blast destroyed the console behind him. Drew his knife and moved in close. Too close for the cannon to track. He struck its joints, the weak points in the armor. Swung the cannon like a club. It caught in the side and sent him flying. He hit a wall hard. His armor cracked. His ribs screamed with pain. But had felt worse pain. During the frontier wars, he had fought for 3 days with a broken leg, had completed missions while bleeding from multiple wounds. Pain was just information. It told you that you were still alive. He stood up, stared in disbelief. "What are you?" the commander whispered. "Human," replied, then he attacked. The fight was brutal, was stronger, but was faster, better trained, more experienced. He had fought enemies in close combat for 10 years, had learned from the best and survived when many did not. Used size against him, moved inside his reach, struck at vulnerable points. The knife found gaps in the armor, found soft tissue. Dropped the cannon and tried to grab with his massive hands. Was not there. He was already moving, already striking. Finally fell. He collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Blood leaked from multiple wounds. "Finish it," gasped. "Kill me." Stood over him, knife ready. This would be easy, quick. The commander deserved death for what he had done. But lowered the knife. "No," he said. "You will stand trial. The colonists you terrorized deserve justice, not just revenge." "You spare me," sounded confused. "Why?" "Because I am not what the frontier wars made me. Not anymore." The sound of engines filled the air. Looked up. Coalition ships were arriving, real reinforcements, finally. He activated his communicator. "This is, colony is secure. One prisoner, requesting immediate medical and security teams." It was Captain Al's voice. "You are alive?" "Yes, Captain." "The dead or captured?" "Silence, then. We are landing now. Stay where you are." 10 minutes later, coalition soldiers entered the command center. They stopped when they saw the scene, bodies everywhere. One human standing in the middle of it all, bleeding, exhausted, but standing. Captain Al arrived moments later. He looked at the destruction. He said slowly, "I need you to explain something. Who are you, really?" Removed his helmet. His face was pale. Blood ran from the cut above his eye, but his expression was calm. "My name is," he said, "Former Sergeant Earth Reaper Corps, Service Number RT-7734, Frontier Wars Veteran, 63 combat drops, 317 confirmed hostile eliminations." The Coalition soldiers stared. His mandibles hung open. Sun looked like she might faint. "Reaper Corps," Al asked, "what is that?" "Earth Special Forces Unit, created during the Frontier Wars. We operated behind enemy lines. Small teams, high-value targets, asymmetric warfare." "The Frontier Wars," Al repeated. "I thought that was a minor conflict, a civil dispute." Slav was bitter. "Minor, we lost 30 million people, fought in 100 cities, developed weapons and tactics that would horrify you. The wars ended 5 years ago. We hid the worst of it when we applied to the Coalition. We wanted peace, wanted to move past what we had become." "And you," Sun asked quietly, "you were part of this." "I was for 10 years, then I left, joined the Coalition, became an engineer, tried to forget." "But you did not forget," Al said. "No," admitted. "You never really forget, you just pretend, until someone needs help, until good people are in danger, then." "Then the Reaper returns," whispered. Nodded slowly. "Then the Reaper returns." Medical teams arrived and began treating wounds. As they worked, he looked at his captain. "I disobeyed orders, concealed my military history. I understand if you want to report me." Al was quiet for a long moment. Then he placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. "You saved my crew, saved colonists, stopped a pirate raid that could have killed hundreds. Report you?" He shook his head. "I think not, but we will talk about humans, about what you can do. The Coalition needs to understand what they have accepted as members." "We are not monsters," said. "No," Al agreed. "But you are not what we thought either. You are something far more dangerous and far more valuable." They returned to the stellar harmony. As walked through the corridors, crew members stopped and stared. Word had spread. The quiet human, the one they laughed at, he was a warrior, a legend from a war they did not understand. No one laughed now. No one would laugh again. 3 days after the 9 incident, stood in a Coalition hearing room. The walls were white, clean, cold, nothing like the volcanic hell he had left behind. Across from him sat a panel of 5 Coalition officers, 3, 1 human. The human was Admiral Wu. She was older than gray hair, stern face, eyes that had seen too much, like his own. "Sergeant," Admiral Wu said, "do you understand why you are here?" "Yes, Admiral." "Explain it to us." "I disobeyed Captain Al's direct order to remain on the stellar harmony. I concealed my military background when I joined the Coalition. I engaged in unauthorized combat operations on 9. One of the officers leaned forward. "You killed 43 pirates, destroyed significant equipment, operated alone against a superior force. These actions go beyond simple disobedience." "Yes, sir." "Why did you do it?" Admiral Wu asked. Met her eyes. "My crew was in danger, civilians were dying, I had the skills to help, I made the choice." "The choice to become a soldier again," the officer said, "after hiding your past for over a year." "Yes." Admiral Wu pulled up a file on her display. "Your record from the Frontier Wars is remarkable and disturbing. 63 combat drops, 317 confirmed eliminations, 17 successful deep infiltration missions, 5 Medals of Valor, 2 Medals of Honor. Psychological evaluation notes include phrases like exceptional combat effectiveness and potential trauma response issues." She paused. "It also notes that you requested discharge immediately after the wars ended. Why?" Was quiet for a moment. "I was tired of killing, Admiral." "And yet you killed 43 pirates 3 days ago." "They were threatening innocent people." "So you will kill when you believe it is justified." Yes. Who decides what is justified? Had no answer for that. It was the question he had asked himself 1,000 times. Admiral Wu sat back. Sergeant, the Coalition has a problem. We accepted humanity as a member species based on your application. We were told humans were peaceful, technologically developing, no major conflicts in recent history. That was not entirely true, admitted. No, it was a lie. We have now reviewed Earth's actual history. The frontier wars were not a minor civil dispute as your government claimed. They were a decade of brutal warfare, millions dead, weapons development that rivals anything in coalition arsenals, and the Reaper Corps, she shook her head. Special forces units operating with almost no oversight, trained to fight behind enemy lines, experts in asymmetric warfare. We were necessary, said quietly. The enemy used the same tactics. Cities were, civilians were targets. The Reapers stopped that. By becoming what you fought against. By being willing to do what others could not. The officer spoke again. How many humans like you are in the coalition? Admiral Wu answered. We have identified at least 300 former Frontier Wars veterans currently serving in various roles. Mechanics, pilots, engineers, scientists, all hiding their combat experience. The room fell silent. 300 trained warriors, hidden among the peaceful facade of humanity. Are we in danger? The officer asked nervously. No, Admiral Wu said firmly. These veterans joined the coalition seeking peace. They want to move past the wars. They want to build instead of destroy. Actions at 9 prove this. He only fought to protect others, not for conquest, not for glory, for protection. She turned to, but we cannot ignore what happened. The coalition needs to understand what humans are capable of, for good and bad. What do you recommend? Asked the senior officer. I recommend we accept reality, Admiral Wu said. Humans are not the weak species we thought. We are adaptable, resilient, and yes, dangerous when necessary, but we are also loyal, protective of those we care about, willing to sacrifice ourselves for others. These traits make us valuable allies. Or dangerous enemies, the officer muttered. Yes, Admiral Wu agreed. That too, which is why transparency is important. No more hiding, no more lies. She looked at, Sergeant, I am offering you a choice. Return to active military service with the Coalition Defense Force. We need soldiers with your experience, your skills, or remain as a civilian, but either way, no more hiding what you are. And the charges against me, asked. Dropped, Captain Al on your behalf. Every member of your crew supported your actions. The colonists you saved have sent formal thanks. Under the circumstances, your actions were justified. Felt relief, then concern. What about the other veterans, the 300? They will be contacted, given the same choice. Serve openly or serve honestly as civilians, but no more hiding. Thought about it. Going back to military service meant returning to what he was, what he had tried to escape, but staying as an engineer meant lying about part of himself. I choose to remain civilian, he said finally, but I will not hide anymore. If my crew asks about my past, I will tell them. If the coalition needs my expertise in training or tactics, I will provide it, but I will not carry a weapon unless absolutely necessary. Admiral Wu nodded. A fair compromise. You will remain on the Stellar Harmony with Captain Al, but your personnel file will be updated with your full military history. Understood, Admiral. The hearing ended. As left the room, Admiral Wu called out to him. Sergeant, a moment. He stopped. She approached him alone. I served in the Frontier Wars too, she said quietly. 4th Reaper Battalion. I understand what you carry, the memories, the nightmares, the feeling that you left something behind when you stopped fighting. Does it get easier? Asked. No, but you find purpose in other ways. You protect instead of destroy. You build instead of tear down. You find people worth fighting for without actually fighting. My crew laughed at me, said, called me weak, fragile. Now they know the truth. They look at me differently. Give them time. They will adjust. And perhaps they will understand that choosing peace when you are capable of war is not weakness. It is strength. Returned to the stellar harmony that evening. When he entered the common area, conversation stopped. All eyes turned to him. Then Captain Al stood. Engineer, welcome back. The use of his rank, not his military rank, was intentional, respectful. Thank you, Captain. Join us. We were discussing the new shield configurations. It was a normal conversation, work-related, simple, but it was an offering, a return to normalcy. Sat moved aside to make room. Sun brought him a drink, small gestures but meaningful. Later that night, Sun found in the engine room. He was working on the cooling unit, the same one he had been fixing when the distress call came. She said softly, "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "When you fought on 9, were you afraid?" Was quiet for a moment. "Yes, I am always afraid. Fear keeps you alert, keeps you alive." "But you fought anyway." "Fear is not the same as cowardice. Being afraid and doing what must be done anyway, that is courage." Sun nodded. "I was afraid when we were pinned down. I thought I would die. Then you came, alone, one human against dozens, and I felt hope." "I am glad," said simply. "My people have a saying," Sun continued. "The ocean's surface may be calm, but beneath are currents that can move mountains. I think that describes humans well." "Perhaps." "Will you teach me," she asked suddenly, "about fighting, about surviving?" Looked at her. "Why?" "Because next time I want to be able to protect others, like you did. I do not want to be helpless." Considered this. Fighting is not something to take lightly. It changes you. Once you cross that line, you cannot go back. "I know, but I still want to learn, to be ready, just in case." "Then I will teach you," agreed. "But we start with defense, protection, not aggression." "Thank you." She left, returned to his work. The cooling unit was old, stubborn but fixable like him. Days turned to weeks. The crew of the Stellar Harmony adjusted to the new reality, was not just the quiet engineer anymore. He was former Reaper, protector, friend. They still did not fully understand humans, but they respected them, respected him. 1 month after 9, the ship received another distress call. Pirates attacking a transport vessel. Captain Al looked at his crew. "Prepare for combat operations." Then he turned to, "Engineer, your expertise may be valuable. Will you advise the tactical team?" It was a question, not an order, respect for his choice. Nodded. "I will help however I can, Captain." As they prepared, approached, "I owe you an apology. I called humans weak, fragile. I was wrong." "You did not know," said. "Now I do, now we all do. Humans are not weak, they are just careful, controlled, like a weapon kept in its sheath." "That is a good way to describe it," agreed. The Stellar Harmony jumped to hyperspace. Another mission, another chance to protect. Stood at his station. Engineer, advisor, friend. He was at peace with all 3 roles. They had laughed at the lone human once, called him weak, called him prey. Now they understood. Humans were not prey. They were the storm that slept, the reaper that waited, the strength that chose mercy. And that made them the most dangerous species of all. Because when humans finally fought, it was not for conquest or glory. It was for those they loved. And nothing in the universe was more terrifying than